back to the Fox Robbins Business Show. Thank you for joining us again. Great to have you back. This Fox Robbins Show is all about developing your best business ideas. And I'm the co-host, Bill Fox. The other co-host is the potent, proficient, radiant, resplendent, and sagacious Coach Robbins.
I'm sagacious again. I got to look that one up. I'm not smart enough to know what it means. I'm kidding.
Great to have you back. Our guest is Warren Rutherford. We've completed one segment or episode with Warren. Warren is the president, CEO of the Executive Suite, and in the previous episode he explained that business, so we won't have to go over that again. But we were talking in that previous episode about a person's future fit, to an organization. Mm-hmm. The thinking, the plans, the aspirations of the business owner. We were talking about and the business owner's planning process or planning thinking, and we talked about the application and interviewing process, or whatever. We're going to go on now. We're going to move to the job application fit to the person and the future. So let me ask you, on the job application fit to the person and the future, what did you have in mind on that?
Well, first, does the employer, does the company understand the types of talents, values, and motivators, behaviors that each employee needs for each position? Have they thought through how they can create a position description that's going to match up and create and contribute to strong productivity and efficiency within the company? More often than not, they don't.
Isn't that a rare event for you? Is that companies, a small business would have a position description, or is that?
Well, they'll have position descriptions, or they'll have an idea of what the person's going to do. More importantly, and what I'm referring to, Bill, is that they haven't done a functional assessment of the position. So, to keep it simple, we think about things and make decisions about things in one of three ways: with our head, systematically; with our hands, practically; or with our heart, being empathetic. And what does that position require for a blend of those through thinking patterns, head, hand, and heart? We have a balance of them within us. One is usually more predominant than the other. If it's a sales type of function, it may be more focused on practical, getting things done, it's hands focused. It may have a good, healthy blend of being empathetic, the heart piece. An analyst position is going to be very much a head type of job. But have they defined what type of thinking patterns and decision styles they need? That's the first piece to it. And then how does that, once they know that, how does that help them identify what types of questions they need to ask in the interview process? And if they find someone who's not predominantly a head person and the job requires that, what are they going to do if they find that they have someone who's very empathetic, a heart person in it? Chances are the employee's not going to be doing very well on the job. So what I'm trying to do in this part of the process is fit the job to the type of person we want. So give me a good description of all the job functions, why you have them, when they're going to do them, who they interact with. So I'm asking head, heart, and hand questions of the employer to make sure I understand that. And what I'm doing here is I'm thinking of the position-person alignment and workforce alignment. So within the context of matching the person to the job, oftentimes what employers will do is take anybody and cause them to adapt to what the job requires. That's great sometimes. Sometimes it works, oftentimes it doesn't.
Only when they're lucky. You put somebody in a job they're not capable of doing and they fail, that's your fault.
Well, what the challenge then becomes is now the individual who, once the applicant, now the employee, they have to change. They have to change the way they think, the way they behave, and what's important to them.
Yeah.
So their performance suffers because they're not being authentic. to
Right.
themselves. They're not being fully self-aware.
Right.
So in those instances, what we try to do is encourage the employers to think through the job tasks that are required and what type of person they need. Behaviors, talents, values.
Right.
So then, in doing that, what I work with them on, and I encourage employers to do, Bill, is I encourage them to identify the position tasks, aggregate them up into major categories of attributes that people should have, identify what types of behaviors, values, and thinking styles are required to do those tasks. And it's not hard to do if they spend a little bit of time doing it, and then do a profile match to the applicant. So that going into the interview, actually before that, putting the job ad out, if I'm applying for a salesperson's job, I'm going to use words in the ad like exciting opportunity to earn money. What that does is that tells me that I'm looking for someone who's exciting to meet people, earn a lot of money, in a challenging environment, loves problem solving. So you can use words to describe the type of people you're going to attract. Now, if I had a sales job and I said, office environment where there's little interaction with others, you're not going to get a salesperson candidate.
Right.
You're going to get someone who loves to be able to sit behind their computer and do processes.
Right.
And you will get them all day long. So when you're doing that matching, you're thinking about it from the standpoint of the job description, the job ad, and then all the interview questions that follow through with it. And if you get that process-oriented person, and there's nothing wrong with having a process-oriented person, but do you want them in a sales job?
No.
Because they'll never get from behind their desks.
Right.
And they drive the owner nuts, as well as other
You
employees.
mentioned the word values a lot, and I'm really happy that you're mentioning this because a lot of people I see, they don't really deal with values. They don't even understand their own values from their own perspective in their own company. And the first thing I do with good quality companies when they become clients of mine, I just recently had one gentleman, I bought the company, $5 million company. He called me up and he said, I really would like to engage your help. You come highly recommended. I went in there with my partner at the SBDC, Melinda, and first thing this gentleman wanted to do is an MBA from a well-respected college, and he ran $1 billion division here in the United States, wanted to own his own company. Someone to start right off by developing mission, vision, and values from the company standpoint, so that when we start to grow, because we intend to grow, and when we start to hire, that we hire the right people who understand our mission, our vision, and really share the same values.
Values and our
Unfortunately,
purpose. Sure.
tiny companies don't even understand what we're talking about, okay? This is a good-sized company, 80 or 90 employees, and it wants to be 1,000 employees, and this is a guy who knows how to start at the beginning. What are our mission? What are our vision? What are our values? And now we're going to hire people that fit, person, future fit.
Yeah, and with the company as well.
Yeah.
One of the points that you raised with us it's on our display. Be willing to change job role to fit applicants' natural talents. Well, that's interesting. I mean, this is where the employer might want to be doing some adjusting, to what may look like an excellent applicant. I guess is that what that is?
Yeah. So you have a white piece of paper with a lot of black lines on them, and it's a job description. And either you decided or someone else decided that this is what needs to be done. But you can't find those types of people. They can't be the analyst and the salesperson at the same time. It's two different skill sets and talent sets. So you may find that what you really need is a sales type of, no, I'm saying sales type, but someone who's very outgoing, someone who's very engaging, someone who's very decisive, doesn't really enjoy just sitting behind a computer screen and analyzing all day. But you've combined two different types of talents and behaviors and values into one job. The person, and the former comes up, very outgoing, very engaging, and you're saying, I'd love to hire him or I'd love to hire her, but I can't see them doing this office
piece.
type of stuff.
Right.
So what do I need to do within my organization to carve that stuff out? Can I give it to someone else who excels in these areas
Right.
and who is actually having trouble being the outgoing person?
Yeah.
So can I change the job to fit the applicant? But that requires that I also look at my existing employees, and is there a way I can drop some duties and grab some from another person and give that person,
Realign
applicant,
them, yeah.
a realignment, exactly, a real fulfilling role. And by the way, I'm also now creating better alignment with the person that I just
Right.
gave some other stuff that they love to do.
Right. You may have taken the sales responsibility away from that person who loves to be analytical, loves to deal with big data, loves to, like I said before, and I don't know if I said it in this show or the previous show, if you put somebody in a position they're not capable of doing, and they're going to fail, that's your fault. That's
It is.
not their fault.
It is.
Okay? Right.
Well, and then, and Bill, to go back to that, look at the job role is you're going to be an outbound salesperson, so you're going to be on the phone. The job requirement is at least 100 calls a day.
Right.
And at the end of every day, the expectation on your sales process is that you need to fulfill at least 5 appointments daily,
Right.
25 a week. And at the end of the week, out of those 25, the quota was getting 5 contracts,
Right.
5 new customers. So I come into the job, I maybe make 15 calls a day. Because you know what? Instead of it being a, hi, how are you, and a 15-second, 30-second phone call, it's a good 5 to 10 minute phone call. Maybe even longer. And I spent a considerable amount of time developing a relationship with this prospect. So at the end of the day, I have 15 calls. So instead of having 500 over the course of the week, I've got 75. But interestingly, at the end of the week, I've got the ability to have 10 contracts, not 5, because I've taken the time to develop the relationships. But yet the stress that's placed on me to make those 100 calls is causing me to fail in all respects. So
Right.
changing the role is to say, relieve that pressure. You're the type of person who's very empathetic and can develop those relationships, so go ahead and do that.
Right.
And
Do it your way.
And those types of people outperform the phone pounders. So in that respect, you're relieving some of the performance responsibilities from them. The responsibility to fulfill the role is still the same or similar. You're just taking off the performance pressure and letting them shine in the areas they can shine in. That's
Hey,
another
they're
example.
doing great on the bottom line. Let them do it their way.
And then the phone pounders get upset because they're closing more.
Your next point was the interview process itself. What did you have in mind there? What did you want to tell us about that?
In addition to the interview questions we talked about, I think it's important to put the interview process in the context of defining where I've come, where I am, where I want to go to, and take the pressure off myself that I have to, within this interview process, find the guy or gal that's important to the future of my company. I need to understand the interview process is one piece of the total. It may be that I want them to fill an application out, conduct an interview. I'm also going to be conducting references. I may do credit and criminal background checks.
Corey.
It has a place in the process, but it's not the only place.
Right.
And so put it into that type of context, Bill.
Okay. Your next point was refine the application and interview process for information about current talents, future potential, and interests.
And take, I think, both of those together. We talked a little bit about that in the last show, that I want to make sure that the employer understands how they're gathering information from the applicants that gives me as the employer the ability to project how they're going to perform in this job based on what's important to them. So oftentimes we're asking the questions, you know, you have a bachelor's degree, you have a high school diploma, you worked at XYZ company 10 years. Dig a little deeper. So why did you decide to work at that company? What was important about that position? And why did you decide to select that job path over some other job path? Start them to think about giving you answers that are going to give you an underlying reason. And to me, the why question is probably one of the most important ones you can ever ask.
Right.
And just don't stop asking it. So you decided to be a laborer, you decided to be an office manager, you decided to be a technician or an engineer. Why did you decide to do that? Why? You had all these choices available to you. What was it about those particular positions that attracted you? And are you still interested in that?
You got to become a 2-year-old again. They all say why, and then you tell them why, and then again you tell them why.
It always works.
That's right. 2-year-olds know probably be better interviews
Yeah.
than 40-year-old senior managers.
And you know, the other part of that, Bill and Cliff, is so you've done great. I do see, however, that you've moved from job to job every 3 or 4 years to seem to switch. What
Why?
is it about those positions that cause you to lose interest?
Right.
Well, I had a disagreement, or I wasn't challenged anymore, or, and they'll say, or what? You know, did that position match up what you were interested in? Did you know what you were interested in when you took the job, or was it just another job? What was it about that company that prevented you from wanting to stay there longer? Did the company have a plan? Did they have goals and objectives? Did they do performance evaluations? So what you're doing in asking them these questions, are these things important to you? So the company may have all the goals and strategies and mission, vision, values, and purpose in the world, but if it's not important to that employee, if only he or she wants a paycheck,
It's no fit.
then yeah, right, they're not a fit for us.
No.
So we try to go back in time, identify why these things are important to them, and then project out, are they going to be a match for us? So then the next phase of the interview process and the selection process, honestly, is, so let me tell you a little bit about my company. Again, where I've come from, where I am, where I'd like to go to. In this particular department, division, position, what I'm looking for from my successful employee is to be able to do A, B, C, and D. And they're going to be interacting with a host of other employees, clients, vendors, and they're going to be in charge of whatever it may be. Is that the type of thing you're interested in? Well, yeah, of course, I applied for the job, absolutely. It's the response, I want the job. Let's go beyond that. So
On a job.
I want a job, I want anything. Oh, by the way, what does it pay and what are the benefits?
Yeah,
and
right.
You haven't gotten there yet.
How many weeks vacation am I getting?
And usually, yeah, 401k. And usually what I ask them is, you haven't earned the right to ask that question yet.
Yeah, right.
You have to persuade me that you're really interested in performing well in this position. So I just described to you where we're going to. I want you to describe for me in detail how you're going to perform in this
Right.
job, knowing what you know about it. Well, I'm going to need to know a little bit more. I said, I've just spent 10 minutes describing. You need to explain to me now. And I give them the floor. And see how well equipped they are, Bill, to respond to that question.
How much do you rely on the education piece, high school or not, 2-year, 4-year college, or even or post-college? I know that's kind of a generalization, but I mean the education part is an issue these days. I mean, there's still a lot of people who either don't even get through high school, or they do get through high school and never experienced any college level, either 2-year or 4-year college level, much less postgraduate. Do you rely a lot? Is that a big thing with you, or you want to get behind that, whether someone has the formal credentials or not?
It depends on the position. If it's an engineer job or a land surveyor job, certainly a bachelor in engineering, sometimes a master's. their licensing as a professional year or
yeah,
professional land
professional.
surveyor, registration certificates are critical. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to function in the job. Depending on the occupation, some of the trades, they don't require, you know, certain educational levels, but they do require progression through certain parts of the trade, you know, apprentice, journeyman, master, whatever the occupation may be.
Right.
Have discussions. Some of them may not have any of the credentials, but they've got 30 years of hands-on experience and they've risen to be the CEO of a company. What are they doing now applying for a management level position? So oftentimes what I'll find is individuals that have the educational experience qualifications applying for a position that seems to be, at first glance, significantly below what they've been responsible for in the past. So we have a discussion on that. It may be in certain instances, as you're talking about the educational qualifications, that you know they got a degree in criminal justice and now they're doing sales. Why the switch? So sometimes you're finding younger people they reach for something when they go to school and then they realize that they may not be right in that particular occupation. So you have a conversation with them as to why. What have they learned from it? What are they benefiting from it? Why did they make a change in their career path? Or did they have a career path when they went to school?
Right.
What I'm finding with different levels of positions just require different levels of expertise, different attributes, talents, behaviors, and values. What gets them up out of bed in the morning and carries them through the course of the day? What gets them excited about the workplace? Who do they like to interact with? You know, the educational piece is fine. The experience piece is fine. But I want to know, strip all of that away. Who are you as an individual? And are you going to be the right fit for
As a
my
person,
company?
yeah, right.
And because that stuff's all qualifying for them, but it doesn't change who they are when they get up in the morning.
Right.
Right. Well, yeah, do you have clients who, for one reason or another, think, well, I want somebody with that degree from, you know, Princeton, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, or something of that sort? I think that's important, as if that's important or critical. Do you run into clients that feel that way about the educational component? I want to see people from.
Not that they would admit, and not that I would encourage them to pre-qualify on. As I said, it's you know, if they believe that type of qualification is necessary, then we can find them. And I think they could find them too if they were doing the search by themselves. But more importantly, why is that type of
That's what I'm thinking.
institution going
Why?
to give them the individual they need?
Right. Why are you wanting that, you know?
And it may be that they have a good alumni connection with that. You know, I have some clients that recruit exclusively from the colleges that they went to. And that's fine.
Yeah.
They don't need me to do that because they have a strong alumni connection.
That's not a crime. I mean, it's.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Right.
But again, it depends on the occupation and what types of credentials are required. In the technology field, engineering, biomedical, healthcare, those types of occupations require certain type of education,
You
credentials,
want to hire
and
a pilot, he
experience.
better be able to fly an airplane and better be licensed as an airline transport pilot, right?
We hope.
Your
Please,
final
God.
point is to assess, understand how applicants' long-term potential matches companies' long-term strategy, and that goes way back to the very beginning when you started with us about the instead of just the applicant's ability today or tomorrow, but aligning, you know, with the long-term
Person, future,
projection.
fit.
You said that. I mean, it's important in your work
Absolutely.
and to your client and to your clientele.
Yeah, so one of the questions I'm going to ask the client before I ask the applicant, but I'm going to ask the client, I'm going to ask the employer to think about if they want to do the search themselves, is if they have a mission, vision, values, and purpose, have they asked their current group of employees to help them define it?
But that was the next thing that happened at this company with us after we worked with the president, CEO, The very next thing is he brought in the other C-level executives and separately asked them the same things. And then the next groups of meetings were to put those folks together with the new CEO, and we're starting to put the whole thing together.
The organization, in order to be true to doing that assessment, Bill, I think you need to understand whether or not the business has that within its value system and operational structure to engage everybody in the development of those goals and objectives and those long-term strategies. Then it's a fair question to ask that applicant or applicants, how do they, this is how we develop our short-term, long-term goals and plans. This is what we've done. We did our SWOT analysis. I'd like to share that with you. It's a pretty engaged discussion. It's not a 30-minute interview. And you're bringing them back for a second or third interview, and perhaps you're having them participate in a team interview with other managers or supervisors or coworkers.
360-degree interview.
And you're getting the feedback from those folks. Is he or she going to be a fit on our team? Are they the contributor we need? And the reason I suggest that employers do that, quite simply, is once I decide to hire that person, I'm going to have that person for a long time.
Hopefully.
And I'm going to have a lot of money to invest in them. So get it right the first time, do the homework necessary to get it done right, and then provide them the assistance to be successful.
Warren, I want to thank you for being on the Fox Robbins Show. All of this is pure gold as far as I'm concerned.
You better believe it. It's
process.
the future of your company.
Yeah. And Coach, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And for you guys, thank you for watching the Fox Robbins Business Show. Feel free to send us any comments. Keep it clean.
Yeah.
Please. To comments to foxrobbins@gmail.com. And again, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.